Welcome to the 33% rule, the Jewish wealth secret for lasting prosperity, presented by Liberty Audiobook. Introduction. Prosperity leaves clues, and the clearest clue is structure. Wealth that lasts for generations is never an accident. It is organized, protected, and guided by rules that outlive the people who created it. The title of this audiobook, The 33% Rule, The Jewish Wealth Secret for Lasting Prosperity, is not about mystery or magic. It is about discipline. It is about division with intention. It is about building a life where money serves a purpose greater than comfort, a purpose that echoes through time and transcends individual desires. The 33% rule is simple in form, yet powerful in impact. 1 part to live, 1 part to grow, and 1 part to secure and strengthen. This balanced structure creates stability in uncertain times, growth in productive seasons, and resilience during hardship. It transforms income from something that disappears into something that multiplies. It shifts wealth from a temporary experience into a lasting legacy. It is a timeless wisdom etched into the very fabric of enduring financial success, a blueprint for not just acquiring wealth, but for preserving and expanding it across generations. In this audiobook, we will uncover the philosophy behind dividing income with precision and purpose. We will explore how to separate survival from prosperity, how to invest consistently without emotion, how to protect what you build, not just from external threats, but from your own impulses. And crucially, how to pass on not just money, but a robust system, a framework of wisdom that empowers future generations. You will learn how discipline becomes freedom, how allocation becomes power, how structure becomes peace of mind. This journey is not about extreme frugality. It is about intelligent design. It is not about chasing quick profit. It is about building foundations that endure. The 33% rule is a way of thinking, a way of managing, and ultimately a way of living. It challenges the conventional wisdom that often leads to financial fragility and replaces it with a robust strategy for resilience. The next income you earn can either continue old patterns or begin a new one. The choice, my friend, is yours. Let us begin this transformative journey together. Chapter 1. Stop spending everything you earn. Every financial transformation begins with a hard decision. Not a complicated one, not a technical one, but a simple, almost brutally honest decision. Stop spending everything you earn. That, my friends, is the first doorway into lasting prosperity. As long as every dollar that enters your life immediately exits your life, wealth will always feel distant, almost mythical. It will be a concept you observe in others, never a reality you inhabit. Income alone does not create prosperity. It's what you keep, what you divide, and what you direct that truly builds wealth. This is a fundamental truth often obscured by the modern world's obsession with earning more. Many believe that a higher salary or a larger business will solve their financial woes. Yet, earning more will not solve the problem if spending rises with it, a phenomenon known as lifestyle inflation. A raise feels good for a month. A new contract feels powerful for a season. But if your lifestyle expands, every time your income expands, you remain financially fragile, perpetually on a treadmill. The numbers may look bigger, but the pressure stays the same, or often intensifies. This is the quiet trap that captures intelligent, hard-working people. They diligently improve their income. They innovate. They dedicate themselves to their work. Yet they never improve their financial structure. They are like a master builder who uses excellent materials but forgets to lay a solid foundation. Imagine two individuals earning the same salary, say $50,000 a year. The first spends nearly all of it, a better apartment, an upgraded phone every year, frequent dining out, small luxuries justified as rewards for hard work. They live a seemingly comfortable life, but their bank account at the end of each month hovers near zero, sometimes even dipping into the red. The second individual, however, decides firmly and calmly that a portion of every paycheck will never be touched. Not after bills, not at the end of the month, but immediately upon receipt. This portion is sacred. One continues a cycle of dependence. The other begins building financial power. 5 years later, their incomes may still be similar, perhaps even identical, but their positions in life will be entirely different. One lives month to month, constantly juggling expenses, praying nothing unexpected happens. The other owns options, the option to take a career risk, the option to invest in a new venture, the option to support a loved one, or simply the option of peace of mind. Spending everything you earn keeps you dependent. It keeps you reactive, always a step behind, always hoping nothing unexpected happens. And life, as you already know, always brings the unexpected. A medical expense, a market downturn, a family responsibility, a car repair, a home renovation. Without retained capital, every surprise becomes a crisis. With a retained capital, surprises become manageable bumps in the road, challenges that can be met without derailing your entire financial journey. This chapter is not about deprivation. It is about awareness, about looking honestly at your financial pattern. When income arrives, does it already have a plan, a clear directive? Or does it simply flow outward through habits, subscriptions, impulses, and upgrades, disappearing as quickly as it arrived? Money without direction disappears. Money with instruction builds foundations. It is that simple, yet profoundly impactful. You may feel resistance at this point, but my expenses are real. Living costs money. Of course, they are. Living costs money. Responsibilities are real. Yet, within almost every income level, there is some flexibility. Maybe not dramatic flexibility in the beginning, but enough to start, enough to make a small shift. The 33% rule starts with a decision, a silent declaration to yourself. Not all of this belongs to today. Some of it belongs to tomorrow. Some of it belongs to growth. Some of it belongs to security. Consider a small shift in your internal dialogue. Instead of asking, "What can I afford to buy?" ask, "What must I preserve to build lasting prosperity?" That single change in question changes your behavior. It slows impulse. It strengthens intention. It reminds you that prosperity is not about appearance. It is about allocation, about intelligent design. Think of a farmer after harvest. He does not consume every seed. He carefully sets some aside for planting in the next season. If he eats it all, he enjoys one good season, a brief moment of abundance, and then faces starvation in the next. If he preserves a portion, he ensures continuity, a sustainable future for himself and family. You are no different. Your income is your harvest. Spend it all, and you remain dependent on the next paycheck, always at the mercy of the elements. Reserve a portion, and you begin building independence, a system that feeds itself. Stopping the habit of spending everything you earn is not dramatic. It will not attract applause. It may even feel uncomfortable at first, as any new discipline does. But this is where strength begins. This is where calm begins. This is where prosperity quietly takes root, not with a bang, but with a deliberate, steady commitment. Once you decide that a percentage of your income will never be consumed, you step into a different financial identity. You are no longer merely earning, you are building. And building, even slowly, changes everything. It changes your outlook, your peace of mind, and ultimately, your destiny. Chapter 2. Divide your income the moment it arrives. Wealth is not built at the end of the month. It is built at the beginning. The moment income enters your hands or your bank account, a decision must already be waiting for it. If you delay the decision, emotion will make it for you. Bills will claim their share with relentless urgency. Desires will quietly whisper their demands, fueled by marketing and societal pressures. Convenience will take control, nudging you towards the path of least resistance. And once again, at the end of the cycle, nothing will remain for your future self. That is why division must happen immediately, not later, not after spending, but the very moment it arrives. Think of income as water flowing into a system. If there are no channels, no predetermined paths, it spills everywhere, dissipating without purpose. But if there are clear paths already built, designed with foresight and intention, the water flows exactly where it is meant to go, into reservoirs for living, into irrigation for growth, and into protective pools for security. The 33% rule is not simply about percentages. It is about priority. When money arrives, it must be divided into purpose. One portion for living, one portion for growth, one portion for protection and strength. The division is not optional. It is automatic. It is a non-negotiable step in your financial process. Many people wait to see what is left before they save or invest. That approach almost always fails. Why? Because there is rarely anything left. Expenses, like a gas, expand to fill available income. This is not a moral weakness. It is simply human nature. When resources are visible and undivided, they feel usable, available for any immediate whim or perceived need. That is why structure must come first. The division must happen before the spending mind wakes up, before the urges for immediate gratification assert themselves. Imagine receiving your monthly income and immediately, as if by an invisible hand, separating it into 3 distinct accounts. One for living expenses, one for investment and growth, and one for security and reserves. Once separated, the money is no longer one large tempting number. It becomes assigned capital. It has a job, and money with a job behaves differently than money waiting to be spent. It is no longer a general fund. It is purposeful capital, each part working towards a specific goal within your larger financial architecture. You may think this sounds rigid. It is meant to be. Freedom is born from boundaries. A river without banks becomes a destructive flood, losing its power and direction. A river with structure creates power, channeling its energy efficiently and predictably. Pass, Avsworths, by it fully five, I five, my form, X. You remove internal arguments and the willpower fatigue that comes from constantly fighting your own impulses. You simply follow the system you have deliberately designed. Consider two professionals earning similar incomes. The first receives payment and mentally calculates what must be paid this week: rent, utilities, groceries, small comforts, maybe a new gadget. Investments are considered later, if at all. Savings are considered, if possible, which usually means never. The second individual divides income instantly according to predetermined percentages. Even if the living portion feels tight this month, the growth portion is untouched. Even if an impulse purchase appears tempting, the security portion is not disturbed. Over time, the second person builds stability, momentum, and an ever-growing sense of confidence. The first builds stress, regret, and financial fragility. This principle is not about perfection. It is about consistency. Some months may feel challenging. Unexpected expenses may arise, requiring adjustments within your living portion, but the division rule itself remains intact. Even if the percentage for growth or security is small in the beginning, the habit of immediate allocation changes your identity. You stop reacting to money and start directing it. You become the conductor of your financial orchestra rather than a mere spectator. Automation can help tremendously in the modern world. You can instruct your bank to divide funds automatically. Transfers can happen within minutes of deposit. This removes temptation. It removes delay. It strengthens discipline without requiring daily willpower, which is a finite resource. And discipline that does not depend on raw emotion is sustainable, allowing you to build wealth quietly and consistently, almost without thinking about it. Immediate division also clarifies lifestyle decisions. When your living portion's defined, you understand your boundaries, your true capacity for spending. If your housing costs exceed that portion, you adjust. If subscriptions quietly eat away at it, you notice. Structure exposes imbalance. Without structure, imbalance hides, accumulating debt and eroding future potential unseen. There is something profoundly powerful about knowing that part of your income is already building your future before you even touch it. It creates calm. It creates confidence. It creates momentum. Instead of hoping that wealth will accumulate someday, you see it forming, piece by piece, month after month, a tangible testament to your foresight. The key is immediacy. Delay weakens intention. Immediate division strengthens it. The moment income arrives, it is no longer a single pool. It becomes 3 distinct missions: living wisely, growing consistently, protecting diligently. That simple, immediate act transforms the role of money in your life. When you divide your income first, you are declaring that your future matters as much as your present. You are choosing design over drift. You are choosing system over impulse. And over time, that single habit becomes the quiet engine behind lasting prosperity. It is the cornerstone of true financial freedom, built not on luck, but on deliberate, unwavering action. Chapter 3: The 33% Rule. Ancient wisdom, modern application. The wisdom we are discussing today, this 33% rule, is not a recent innovation. It is not a trendy financial hack born in the digital age. Its roots reach back thousands of years, offering a profound testament to its timeless efficacy. For centuries, one of the most successful groups of wealth builders in history did not use spreadsheets, complicated algorithms, or real-time trading apps. They used a rule so simple, it almost sounds like a nursery rhyme, yet so powerful, it ensured lasting prosperity through countless generations. This rule is often referred to as the Dutch wealth ratio, or simply the 33% rule, and its origins are found in the ancient text of the Talmud, written over 1,500 years ago. The original text, a foundational work of Jewish law and ethics, stated, a man should always divide his money into 3, 1/3 in land, 1/3 in commerce, and 1/3 at hand. This ancient directive was not a suggestion. It was a principle for survival and growth, designed for a world far more volatile and unpredictable than our own. And here is what nobody often tells you about this strategy. Most people today are terrified of it, not because it is complex, but because it requires something modern investors have been conditioned to despise: sitting on cash. We live in an era where we have been repeatedly told that cash is trash. We have been conditioned to believe that if our money is not working, is not constantly generating a return, then we are losing. The fear of inflation has been so amplified that many sprint towards excessive risk just to feel a false sense of safety. So we go 100% into the stock market or 100% into real estate, leveraging ourselves to the hilt. And then we wonder why we feel like we are walking a tightrope every time the news mentions a recession, an interest rate hike, or a market correction. The truth is, we are lopsided. We are fragile. We are often one market shift away from a total wipeout, a significant setback that can take years to recover from. When I first encountered this ancient ratio, I confess I thought it was outdated. I imagined it as a relic from a time when business meant trading spices on the Silk Road, and land meant a literal farm with crops and livestock. However, the profound insight of the 33% rule is not about maximizing your gains this quarter or chasing the latest investment fad. It is about making sure you're still standing, not just 5 years from now, but 20, 50, even 100 years from now. It is about the fundamental philosophy of survival, resilience, and intergenerational continuity. In the modern world of finance, everyone is obsessed with the ceiling. How high can we go? How fast can we get there? What is the maximum return? But the 33% rule is obsessed with the floor. It asks a different or fundamental question. How hard can I fall without breaking? How much resilience can I build into my financial structure? Think about your wealth as a tripod, a three-legged stool. If you put all your weight on one leg, say your business or your stock portfolio, and that leg breaks, the whole thing collapses. Your lifestyle, your future plans, your peace of mind, all hit the ground with a devastating crash. But with 3 equal sturdy legs, you are mathematically stable. You can lose an entire leg, and while the tripod might lean, it will not fall over. It gives you time to react, to rebuild, to adapt without total catastrophe. This, my friends, is the profound genius of the 33% rule. It is the geometry of survival, designed to weather any storm. So, how do we apply this ancient wisdom in our contemporary world? The 3 categories, land, business, and reserves, translate powerfully. 1/3 in land, real estate. In ancient times, this was literal dirt, farms, and homes. In the modern world, this is real estate. It is the tangible physical anchor of your wealth. Land is often considered the only thing they are not making more of. It is finite. It is concrete. And most importantly, it represents a physical reality in an increasingly digital and abstract financial world. When the stock market is flashing red, when numbers on the screen are disappearing, your land is still there, your property still stands. The beauty of land is its simplicity and its intrinsic value. It does not care about quarterly earnings reports or geopolitical tensions. In fact, it often eats inflation for breakfast. As the value of the dollar goes down, the value of the dirt, the wood, and the bricks usually goes up. It provides shelter, generates rental income, and offers a profound sense of permanence. For the person following the 33% rule, land is not a speculation. You are not trying to flip it for a quick profit. You are holding it as a foundational asset. You are looking for properties that produce cash flow, rental income that arrives whether you get out of bed or not. This is the passive, slow, and steady part of your financial tripod. It is not glamorous, it is not exciting, but it is heavy, stable, and foundational. And that is exactly why you need it. It creates an essential barrier between you and the chaos of the financial markets. 1/3 in business, productive assets, commerce. This is your engine. This is where you engage in calculated risk and seek growth. In ancient times, this meant commerce, buying goods in one place and selling them in another, participating in the flow of trade. Today, it translates to owning productive assets, your stock portfolio, equity in private businesses, or your own actively managed small business. This is the part of your wealth that harnesses the magic of compounding. It is the part that grows while you sleep, actively participating in the wealth creation cycle of the economy. Business is where dynamic wealth is truly forged. You are betting on human ingenuity, on the relentless drive for innovation. You are betting that people will continue to want better products, faster services, and new solutions to old problems. When you buy a share of a company, you are, in essence, hiring thousands of people to work for you. You are participating in the growth of the global economy, directly benefiting from collective human effort. This leg inherently carries the most risk. Businesses fail, industries get disrupted, markets crash. But precisely because of this risk, this leg also carries the most reward. It is the part of the 33% rule that allows for explosive growth, for your wealth to multiply significantly over time. While land provides the stable floor, business provides the potential for an ever-rising ceiling. It is the engine that drives your financial vehicle forward, seeking out opportunities and converting effort into expanded capital. 1/3 in reserves, cash at hand. This is where the 33% rule truly distinguishes itself. Now, where many modern financial advisors often scratch their heads, this is your at-hand money. It is your oxygen, your strategic liquidity, and this is the part everyone typically gets wrong. They see 33% of their wealth sitting in cash or highly liquid assets, and they immediately think it is a waste. They might look at a high-yield savings account or a short-term bond and perceive it as a lost opportunity, thinking about the 8% or 10% they could be making in the stock market. This thought alone can cause almost physical pain to those conditioned by the always invested mindset. But reserves are not just for emergencies, though they serve that vital purpose. When the water heater breaks or the car dies, reserves are primarily for opportunity. The 33% rule understands something that modern finance often tries to ignore. Markets are emotional. Humans are prone to panic. When the stock market inevitably crashes, and it will, as history consistently proves, the person who is 100% invested is often paralyzed. They are watching their life savings melt down on a screen. They are terrified, and often they are the ones selling at the bottom because they can no longer handle the pain of seeing their capital erode. But the person with 33% in cash is the only one who is not panicking. They are not looking at the screen with fear or dread. They are looking at it and salivating. They are the ones with the dry powder to buy. Everyone else's investments had a 30%, 50%, or even higher discount. They have the liquidity, the freedom, and the emotional fortitude to take advantage of the chaos that cripples others. In the 33% rule, cash is not lazy. Cash is a call option on every other asset class. It is the ability to strike when the iron is cold, to make rational decisions when everyone else is losing their minds. It is a powerful, active tool, not a stagnant pool. The 33% rule assumes the world is unpredictable. It assumes that at some point, one of these legs will inevitably falter, and when it does, the other two are there to hold you up, to prevent total collapse. It is not a hack for rapid riches. It is a robust framework for enduring wealth. Most people quit the game of wealth building because they get wiped out by one ad cycle, one unexpected turn. They go all in on the steep part of a rising curve and forget that curves can bend both ways. They get drunk on a bull market and start moving their land money into business money, thinking they can get rich faster. They stop keeping reserves because they believe the party will never end. But the 33% rule is a discipline. It requires you to rebalance. When your stocks and business investments do incredibly well, and they now make up, say, 50% of your total wealth, the rule tells you to sell some of those gains. It tells you to take those profits and buy more land or replenish your reserves. It forces you to sell high and buy low, naturally preventing you from getting caught in speculative bubbles. It also protects you from the psychological trap of all or nothing thinking. Most investors are either all in or all out. They are either aggressively seeking maximum returns or terrified and risk-averse. The 33% rule allows you to be both. You can be aggressive with your business investments, knowing that your land provides an unbreakable security and your cash reserves offer unparalleled optionality. You can remain calm during a real estate slump, knowing that your business investments are still producing. This creates a fundamental shift in how you see the world and manage your finances. You stop obsessing over the daily fluctuations of the S&P 500 or checking property values every week. You start looking at your wealth as a holistic, resilient system. You simply ask, is the tripod balanced? Am I prepared for what may come? The wisdom of the 33% rule, rooted in ancient texts, has survived empires rising and falling, wars, plagues, and technological shifts that wiped out entire industries. By consistently keeping wealth in these three distinct, balanced categories, those who adhered to it were able to pass their wealth down for generations. Land provides the enduring anchor, business fuels dynamic growth, and reserves provide the bridge of liquidity and opportunity between the two. This is not just a financial strategy. It is a philosophy of enduring prosperity. Chapter 4. Separating living money from wealth-building money. Clarity creates power. Confusion creates weakness. When living money and wealth-building money are mixed together, confusion inevitably takes control, and the clear paths to prosperity become muddled. You cannot effectively build long-term wealth with funds that are constantly exposed to daily expenses, the immediate demands of consumption, and the inevitable pressures of daily life. The money meant to grow your future must never compete with groceries, rent, school fees, or weekend comforts. It must live in a different space. It must carry a different identity. Living money has one essential job: to sustain your current life. It pays for shelter, food, transportation, utilities, and necessary responsibilities. It is the fuel for your present existence. Wealth-building money, on the other hand, has a completely different, equally vital job: to expand your future. It is the seed capital that invests, compounds, multiplies, and strengthens your financial position over time, reducing your dependence on your labor alone. When these two distinct roles blend into one account, a single pool of funds, survival almost always wins. It has urgency, it has pressure, and urgency, with its immediate demands, almost always defeats patience and long-term vision. Imagine planting a delicate tree in the middle of a busy road. Every passing vehicle damages it. Every footstep weakens its fragile roots. It never gets the quiet, protected soil it needs to grow strong and tall. That is precisely what happens when investment capital sits inside the same pool as daily spending. One unexpected expense, a sudden car repair or medical bill, and the growth fund is touched, or worse, raided. One impulse purchase, a tempting sale, the progress you have made is reversed. Growth, true growth, requires protection from constant interruption. This separation is not merely a technical accounting trick, it is profoundly psychological. When a wealth-building money sits in a different account, clearly labeled, your mind treats it differently. You stop seeing it as available for discretionary spending. You stop subconsciously calculating it into lifestyle decisions. It becomes, in your mind, untouchable, except for its intended long-term purpose. That mental boundary strengthens discipline more effectively than any amount of fleeting motivation ever could. It is a firewall against impulse. Consider someone who keeps all income in one checking account. They genuinely intend to invest at the end of the month, or perhaps when they hit a certain savings target. But during the month, a social event arises. A small upgrade for the home feels deserved. A short trip seems manageable. Each decision, in isolation, feels minor and justifiable. Yet, by month's end, the balance has shrunk significantly. Investment is postponed, and the cycle repeats. The intention was present, strong even, but the essential financial structure was missing. Now imagine the alternative, the disciplined approach. Income arrives and is immediately divided. As per the 33% rule, the living portion enters one account, used strictly for expenses. The growth portion moves immediately to an investment account or a separate savings account designated only for asset acquisition. The security portion moves to reserves. Once separated, the living account becomes your defined boundary. If the balance runs low, you adjust behavior within that boundary. You do not borrow from growth. You do not steal from security. You adapt within the limits of your living structure. This approach builds internal strength. It forces awareness. It trains disciplined decision-making. When lifestyle pressure rises, you confront it honestly instead of masking it with money meant for your future. That honesty may feel uncomfortable at first, forcing you to reevaluate your habits. But discomfort is temporary. Discipline creates lasting comfort and unwavering security. Wealth-building money must also follow different rules. Living money seeks efficiency. It aims to cover expenses effectively. Wealth money seeks productivity. It aims to generate more capital. Living money pays bills. Wealth money buys assets. Living money, by its nature, disappears monthly. Wealth money is meant to remain, multiply, and compound over time. Mixing these two categories weakens both. Expenses become careless because there seems to be more available, and investments become inconsistent because funds are constantly diverted. There is another, often overlooked benefit to this separation. Momentum becomes visible. When you watch your investment account grow steadily, month after month, without interruption from daily spending, your confidence increases dramatically. You begin to see progress, not as a theoretical concept, but as a tangible reality. Even small monthly contributions, when protected from consumption, begin to accumulate into meaningful sums. That accumulation, that visible progress, reinforces the habit. It strengthens belief in the system and your ability to execute it. Some will argue that their income is too small to divide meaningfully. I barely have enough to live on, let alone save. Yet, separation is not about the absolute size of the income. It is about fundamental structure. Even a modest amount, when consistently protected from daily consumption, grows stronger and faster than a large income that leaks continuously through an undifferentiated account. The habit matters infinitely more than the initial number. Financial stress often comes from mixing short-term pressure with long-term plans. When both exist in one undifferentiated place, every expense, every bill feels threatening to your future. But when they are clearly separated, clarity replaces anxiety. You know exactly what is available for today's needs and exactly what is diligently working for tomorrow's prosperity. This mental and physical separation empowers you. Separate living money from wealth-building money. Protect growth from survival. Give each dollar a clear assignment. When roles are defined, decisions become simpler. And when decisions become simpler, discipline becomes natural, an automatic part of your routine. Over time, that clarity becomes one of the strongest foundations of lasting prosperity, allowing your wealth to grow unimpeded and your peace of mind to deepen. Chapter 5. Live on less than you can afford. True power is not shown by how much you spend. True power is shown by how much you control. Living on less than you can afford is one of the clearest, most understated signs of financial strength and personal mastery. It means you possess the capacity to consume more, to acquire more luxuries, to inflate your lifestyle. But you consciously choose not to. You choose structure over impulse. You choose stability over appearance. And that choice, repeated month after month, year after year, quietly builds profound independence, a fortress of financial freedom. There is an important and subtle difference between living below your means and living below your power. Living below your means can sometimes feel restrictive, as if you are barely managing, constantly making sacrifices out of necessity. Living below your power, however, is different. It means your income provides you with the ability to spend more, yet would deliberately, intentionally design a lifestyle that requires less. The gap between what you earn and what you live on becomes your ultimate financial advantage. That gap becomes investment capital. That gap becomes security. That gap, diligently cultivated, becomes true freedom. Consider a professional whose income increases steadily over time. Promotions come, business improves, opportunities expand. Instead of upgrading everything immediately, this person upgrades selectively, thoughtfully. Housing costs remain reasonable, perhaps increasing slightly, but never stretching the budget. Vehicles remain practical, reliable, chosen for utility over status. Lifestyle inflation is controlled, managed with an iron will. From the outside, their financial life may not look flashy or overly impressive, but internally, quiet, formidable strength is building. Reserves grow exponentially. Investments compound relentlessly. Options expand, creating a canvas of possibilities. 10 years later, that consistent discipline creates a flexibility and peace of mind that others envy, wondering how they achieved such effortless calm amidst market turbulence. Now consider the opposite path. Income rises, and lifestyle rises even faster. A larger home stretches the budget to its breaking point. A luxury car demands high monthly payments. Vacations must match the new identity. There is little to no room left for error. This person may appear successful, outwardly displaying all the markers of affluence, yet internally they are fragile, constantly stressed, always chasing the next paycheck. One economic downturn, one unexpected event, and the pressure becomes overwhelming. Appearances cannot absorb shock. Only true financial structure can. Living on less than they can afford creates breathing room. Breathing room reduces stress. Reduced stress improves decision-making as you operate from a place of clarity rather than panic. And improved decision-making strengthens wealth further, creating a virtuous, positive cycle. Instead of feeling trapped by the incessant demands of your income, you begin to feel ahead of them, anticipating and planning with confidence. This principle also sharpens your priorities. When you deliberately limit lifestyle expansion, you are forced to ask better, more incisive questions. Do I truly value this expense? Does it genuinely improve my life meaningfully? Or is it simply a reaction to comparison? Silent competition I have unknowingly entered. Many financial mistakes are driven by comparison. Someone else upgrades their home, and we feel compelled to match. Someone else displays success, and we feel an internal pressure to signal our own, often through expensive, depreciating assets. Living below your power frees you from that silent, exhausting competition, allowing you to focus on your own unique path to prosperity. Think of it as training. An athlete, even one with immense strength, does not use maximum force for every movement. Energy is preserved for the moments that truly matter, for peak performance. The same way you preserve financial strength for opportunity and necessity. When a promising investment appears, you have ready capital. When a crisis strikes, you have ample reserves. When a business idea surfaces, you have the flexibility and liquidity to pursue it. Those who live at their full financial limit rarely have such options. They are perpetually on the defensive. This does not mean denying yourself joy or a comfortable life. It means choosing joy intelligently, purposefully. It means understanding that financial peace, the deep calm that comes from security, often feels infinitely better and more liberating than temporary luxury. A modest home, fully owned and free of mortgage payments, can bring more calm and stability than a large, luxurious home financed under immense pressure. A reliable car, paid in full, can bring more confidence than a prestigious car, leased for status. It signals that you are building something larger than the present moment, something designed to endure. Wealth traditions that have endured across generations often share this core principle. Prosperity is strengthened by moderation, not extreme deprivation, but disciplined, intentional moderation. Living on less than you can afford also dramatically accelerates the 33% rule. When your living portion remains controlled, the growth portion of your income becomes more powerful. Investments increase, compounding accelerates, and your security reserves strengthen at a faster pace. Over time, the gap between your income and your expenses widens significantly. You are no longer dependent solely on earned income. Your assets begin contributing substantially to your financial well-being. That is when true financial leverage and independence begin. You may feel tempted to wait until your income is high enough before practicing this principle. Do not wait. A habit must form early at any income level. If you cannot control your spending at a modest level, controlling it at a higher level becomes exponentially harder as the temptations and social pressures also intensify. Discipline scales. So does carelessness. Choose control. Choose margin. Choose to live slightly below your power, even when you can easily afford more. That small gap between income and lifestyle is not a sacrifice. It is a profound strategy, and strategy sustained patiently over time transforms into lasting prosperity. It is the secret handshake for truly wealthy. Chapter 6. Invest 1/3 with relentless consistency. Wealth does not grow because of intensity. It grows because of consistency. A single brilliant investment, a stroke of luck, or a sudden windfall will not secure your future if it is followed by hesitation, inactivity, or fear. But steady, disciplined investing, month after month, year after year, creates powerful momentum that becomes incredibly difficult to stop. This is precisely why the second third of the 33% rule must be treated with unwavering seriousness. It is not optional. It is not flexible. It is your dedicated growth engine, the fuel for your future independence. Relentless consistency means you invest whether you feel confident or uncertain, whether markets are rising or falling, whether the economy feels stable or unpredictable. Emotions change, headlines change, expert opinions change, but your allocation does not change. It continues moving forward, quietly, purchasing assets, building ownership, and compounding over time. This unwavering commitment removes the emotional volatility that often derails most investors. Many people approach investing with a surge of excitement at first. They read articles, watch trends, follow advice from gurus. They invest heavily for a short period, then lose focus, or fear enters the picture, and they withdraw at the first sign of trouble. That erratic pattern weakens progress and dissipates potential returns. Consistency requires a decision made in advance, a pre-commitment. A fixed percentage of your income will be invested without debate, without negotiation. The debate already happened when you adopted the 33% rule. Now, you simply execute the plan. Think planting seeds. You do not plant once and expect a lifetime harvest. You plant every season diligently. You water consistently. You nurture the soil. And you allow time to work its quiet magic. Investing functions in precisely the same way. Each contribution, each seed planted, may seem small and insignificant in isolation, but over time, accumulation builds strength. Compounding multiplies that strength. What once looked insignificant begins to look substantial, then formidable. Consider two individuals. The first waits for the perfect moment to invest. They analyze constantly, waiting for the absolute lowest price, the safest signal, the clearest forecast. Months pass, years pass. Opportunities are missed because perfection in the unpredictable realm of markets never truly arrives. They are paralyzed by analysis. The second individual invests steadily, according to a structured plan, not recklessly or blindly, but consistently, without interruption. The second individual, almost inevitably, builds a larger, more robust portfolio, not because of superior genius or uncanny timing, but because of unwavering discipline and consistent action. Relentless consistency also significantly reduces stress. When you know that 1/3 of your income is automatically directed toward growth, you no longer obsess over daily market fluctuations. You trust the process. You trust time. You trust your carefully designed structure. Investing becomes routine, almost mundane behavior, rather than a dramatic, emotion-laden gamble. And routine behavior, when well designed, is the most sustainable path to long-term wealth. This does not mean ignoring education or investing blindly. On the contrary, you must understand what you are investing in. Assets should be productive. Businesses, equities, real estate, skill development. These are vehicles that create future income or appreciate over time. Speculation, driven by excitement and chasing quick returns, is fundamentally different from disciplined investment, guided by sound principles. The 33% rule encourages the latter, not the former. There will be periods when markets decline. During those times, many retreat. Fear grows louder than logic. Yet, disciplined investors recognize something powerful. Downturns often create opportunity. Assets become available at lower valuations. Consistent investing during difficult periods, a practice known as dollar-cost averaging, can dramatically accelerate long-term gains. Relentless consistency means you do not abandon your strategy when it feels uncomfortable, when the headlines are dire. You remain steady. You may begin with modest contributions. That is perfectly acceptable. What matters most is habit formation and the unwavering commitment to the direction. The habit of allocating to growth every time income arrives reshapes your identity. You are no longer someone merely hoping to become wealthy someday. You are someone actively building wealth today. Every single time you get paid. Automation strengthens this principle. Automatic transfers into investment accounts remove hesitation. They remove the temptation to delay or divert funds. They convert intention into action without requiring constant, draining willpower. Over years and decades, automation can quietly build significant capital, almost as if by magic, but it is merely the power of consistent, disciplined action. Remember this, investing 1/3 is not about chasing rapid, overnight success. It is about building durable strength. You are constructing assets that may support you decades from now, assets that will fund your retirement, your children's education, or your philanthropic endeavors. You are building a foundation that reduces dependence on earned income alone. You are creating optionality, the freedom to pivot careers, to retire early, to pursue meaningful work without financial pressure. Relentless consistency transforms average income into extraordinary outcomes. It replaces guesswork with structure. It replaces anxiety with tangible progress. And as months turn into years, you will look back and realize that the true secret was not timing the market, but disciplined adherence to a simple, powerful system. Steady, unwavering discipline, applied without interruption. That is how the second third becomes your wealth machine, your engine of lasting prosperity. Chapter 7. Protect 1/3 for stability and strategic giving. Growth is powerful, but protection is wisdom. You can invest consistently, live below your power, and still find yourself vulnerable if you ignore the third, equally vital pillar of lasting prosperity, stability. The final third of the 33% rule is not idle money. It is defensive strength. It is the shield that protects your hard-earned progress from unexpected shocks, and the reserve that allows you to act with confidence rather than fear when challenges arise. Stability begins with reserves. Life, as we all know, does not move in straight lines. Income fluctuates, economies shift, health changes, opportunities appear unexpectedly, and so do challenges. Without protected capital, every disruption feels like a threat, a potential catastrophe. With reserves in place, however, disruptions become manageable, an inconvenience rather than a crisis. Instead of panic, you respond with clarity, evaluating options calmly. Instead of borrowing under pressure at unfavorable terms, you decide thoughtfully from a position of strength. Many people focus only on earning and investing. Protection feels less exciting. It does not promise rapid returns. It does not attract attention or generate flashy headlines. Yet, history repeatedly shows that fortunes are often lost, not because people failed to grow, but because they failed to protect what they had diligently built. A single crisis, a major medical event, a job loss, or a significant market correction can erase years of progress if safeguards are absent. Stability is what keeps growth intact. It ensures the roots of your financial tree are not washed away by unforeseen floods. This protective third should serve multiple, interconnected purposes. First, it forms your emergency reserves, liquid and accessible funds that are there when necessary, typically covering 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. Second, it includes broader safeguards such as appropriate insurance policies, health, life, disability, property, robust legal structures for your assets, and a diversified holdings, even within this reserve, perhaps in short-term, low-risk instruments. Third, and uniquely, this portion also allows for strategic generosity, giving that strengthens both community and character, without destabilizing your financial foundation. Let us speak about reserves clearly. An emergency fund is not an act of pessimism. It is an act of preparation. It is not expecting disaster. It is respecting uncertainty. When you know with certainty that you can cover several months of living expenses without any earned income, your posture changes. You negotiate differently at work. You invest more calmly, knowing your core needs are met. You work and live with greater confidence, liberated from the gnawing anxiety of immediate financial threat. Fear loses its grip when preparation is present. Protection also includes intelligent risk management beyond just holding cash. Diversification matters across all your assets. Concentrating all wealth in one asset, one business, or one market exposes you to unnecessary volatility and single points of failure. Balanced allocation across different asset classes reduces the impact of any single negative event. The goal is not to eliminate risk entirely. That is impossible in life, but to ensure no single event can destroy everything you have meticulously built. Now consider strategic giving. At first glance, giving may seem unrelated to protection or wealth building. Yet structured generosity strengthens prosperity in powerful, often unseen ways. It builds goodwill within your community. It strengthens networks of trust and reciprocity. It cultivates positive reputation. It also disciplines the heart, preventing greed from becoming the sole driver of your financial journey. When giving is planned and budgeted within your financial structure, it does not weaken you. It reinforces your values, your connection to something larger than yourself. There is a crucial difference between emotional giving and strategic giving. Emotional giving often happens spontaneously, under pressure, or out of impulse, sometimes leading to overextension or resentment. Strategic giving, however, is intentional. It is budgeted. It is sustainable. You contribute consistently, purposefully, and generously, without destabilizing your personal financial system. That is strength. That is maturity. Imagine two individuals who earn and invest wisely. The first ignores protection, seeing it as unproductive. When an unexpected expense arises, a car accident, a sudden home repair, they withdraw from investments, incur high-interest debt, or sell assets prematurely, often at a loss. The second has a protected third set aside in reserves. When challenges appear, they use their reserves without disturbing their long-term growth investments. Over time, the second individual maintains steady progress, while the first repeatedly interrupts their momentum, sacrificing future gains for present emergencies. Protection also guards your peace of mind, which is, in itself, a form of wealth. Financial anxiety often stems not from low income, but from a lack of buffer, a lack of security. When everything is stretched to the limit, even minor issues create immense stress. But when a protected third exists, your internal state changes. You operate from a place of stability and abundance, rather than survival and scarcity. This internal peace is invaluable. This final third is not meant to sit idle forever. It evolves. Once emergency reserves reach a healthy, specified level, additional funds within this third can be directed toward lower-risk assets, further diversified holdings, or opportunities specifically aligned with long-term security, such as certain types of bonds or conservative income-generating investments. The core purpose, however, remains the same: guard a foundation. Lasting prosperity requires balance. The living third builds present stability. The investing third builds future expansion. The protecting third ensures continuity and resilience. Remove any one of these pillars and the structure weakens. Emphasize only aggressive growth without protection, and you risk collapse. Focus only on protection without growth, and you stagnate, failing to realize your full potential. The profound wisdom of the 33% rule lies in this inherent balance, this trinity of financial purpose. Protect 1/3 with discipline. Guard what you build. Prepare for uncertainty without fear, and give with intention, not impulse. Stability is not passive. It is powerful. It allows you to stand firm in uncertain seasons and be generous in prosperous ones. That strength, sustained over time, is what turns mere wealth into lasting prosperity. It is the unshakable foundation upon which your financial legacy will be built. Chapter 8: The Immutable Pillars: Land, Business, and Reserves. In Chapter 3, we explored the historical genesis of the 33% rule, tracing its origins to the ancient wisdom of the Talmud, a text penned over 1,500 years ago. The core tenet was clear: divide your money into 3 parts, 1/3 in land, 1/3 in commerce, and 1/3 at hand. Now let us delve deeper into these 3 mutable pillars, understanding their timeless significance and how they translate into a robust, resilient financial strategy in our modern world. These are not just abstract categories. They are fundamental forces, each playing a distinct yet interconnected role in securing lasting prosperity. The first pillar: land, the anchor of tangible reality. In ancient times, land was everything. It was the source of sustenance, a symbol of status, and an undeniable physical asset. Wars were fought over land. Empires were built on land. Today, the essence remains, though the form has diversified. Land, in the context of the 33% rule, represents real estate, physical property. It is the anchor of your wealth, the tangible reality in an increasingly digital and often ephemeral financial landscape. Why is land so critical? Because they are not making any more of it. It is finite, a fundamental constraint that gives it intrinsic value. When markets crash and numbers on a screen vanish, your physical property remains. It provides a roof over your head, a place for your family, or a source of steady rental income. Land offers a profound sense of permanence and security that few other assets can match. Think of real estate, not just as a speculation to be flipped, but as a long-term holding, a foundation. The wisest application of this pillar is to acquire income-producing properties. Rentable properties, for instance, provide cash flow, a stream of income that arrives regardless of market volatility. This passive income is vital. It reduces your dependence on active labor and acts as a buffer during economic downturns. Historically, real estate also provides a hedge against inflation. As the cost of living rises, so too does the value of physical assets, like property and often rental income. It is a slow, often boring investment, but its stability and income-generating potential are precisely why it forms a crucial leg of your tripod. This leg creates a tangible barrier between you and the abstract chaos of financial markets. It is the unyielding floor of your wealth. The second pillar, business, the engine of growth and innovation, the commerce of the Talmudic era, involving the trade of goods and services, finds its modern equivalent in business ventures and productive assets. This pillar is your engine of growth, where calculated risks are taken to generate compounding returns. This is where wealth is actively created and expanded. In the modern context, business can encompass several forms. 1. Equity in companies. Stock market. Investing in the stock market means owning small pieces of productive companies. When you buy shares, you are essentially hiring thousands of employees, entrepreneurs, and innovators to work for you. You participate in their growth, their ingenuity, and their ability to solve problems for consumers. This allows your money to grow through capital appreciation and dividends. 2. Private equity, direct business ownership. For entrepreneurs, this means owning and operating your own business. For investors, it could mean investing in private companies or ventures. This typically involves a higher degree of risk and active management, but also offers potentially higher rewards and greater control. 3. Intellectual property scalable ventures. This could involve creating products, services, or content that can be scaled beyond your direct time and effort. Think for Retta, earning royalties, a developer selling software, or an educator with an online course. This converts your skills into an asset that generates income. The business pillar is where the magic of compounding truly shines. It allows your wealth to grow while you sleep, multiplying your initial capital over decades. It is dynamic, innovative, and directly tied to human progress. However, this leg inherently carries the most risk. Businesses can fail, industries can be disrupted, and stock markets can crash. But precisely because of this risk, it offers the greatest potential for explosive growth. While land provides the floor, business provides the soaring ceiling of your financial potential. It is the engine that propels the financial journey forward. The third pillar, reserves, the oxygen of opportunity and resilience. The concept of money at hand is perhaps the most radical and counterintuitive aspect of the 33% rule in today's financial climate. Modern finance often dismisses significant cash holdings as lazy money or cash is trash, fearing the erosion of inflation. But this view fundamentally misunderstands the strategic power of reserves. Reserves are your oxygen. They are your strategic liquidity. They serve two critical functions. 1. Emergency buffer. Life is unpredictable. Job loss, medical emergencies, unforeseen repairs. These can derail even the best laid plans. Having substantial cash reserves, typically 6-12 months living expenses, perhaps more for business owners, means these events become manageable inconveniences rather than financial catastrophes. It prevents you from having to sell assets at a loss or go into high-interest debt during tough times. 2. Opportunity capital. This is where reserves truly shine. When markets panic, when asset prices plummet, when others are forced to sell their investments at fire sale prices out of fear or necessity, those with significant cash reserves are positioned to act. They are the ones who can buy quality assets at deeply discounted valuations. History is replete with examples of fortunes being built during economic downturns by those with the liquidity and courage to invest when others are paralyzed by fear. Cash in this context is not lazy. It is a call option on every other asset class. It provides the freedom to stay rational when everyone else is losing their minds. The 33% rule anticipates unpredictability. It acknowledges that at some point, one of your pillars might weaken, your real estate market might slump, your business or stock portfolio might face a significant downturn. When that happens, the other two pillars provide stability and the means to recover. With a balanced tripod, you do not collapse, you lean, assess, and adapt. This inherent resilience is what allows wealth to endure for generations, weathering inevitable economic cycles and personal challenges. The discipline required by the 33% rule, especially the rebalancing aspect, is crucial. If your business investments surge and now account for 50% of your wealth, the rule demands you sell some profits and reallocate to land or reserves, forcing you to sell high. Conversely, if land values appreciate significantly, you might use those gains to bolster your business investments or cash reserves, ensuring balance. This prevents you from getting overexposed in any single asset class and helps you avoid falling prey to market bubbles. The wisdom of the 33% rule is not about predicting the future. It is about preparing for an unpredictable future. It recognizes that no single asset class is foolproof. Real estate can have lost decades. Businesses can go bankrupt. Currencies can lose value. By holding all three, you stop trying to predict which will perform best and instead build a system designed for survival and long-term flourishing, regardless of external circumstances. It provides the luxury of time and the profound peace of mind that comes from knowing you are fundamentally secure. Chapter 9. Remove emotion from financial decisions. Money reacts quickly to emotion. Fear sells too soon, locking in losses that might have recovered. excitement buys, chasing bubbles, and overpaying for assets. Pride overspends, maintaining an image rather than building substance. Envy upgrades unnecessarily, falling into the trap of keeping up with others. Anxiety avoids opportunity, paralyzed by what-ifs and potential downsides. If you allow fleeting feelings to direct your financial decisions, your progress will always be unstable, erratic, and ultimately unsustainable. That is why structure matters so deeply. The 33% rule is not merely about mechanical allocation. It is fundamentally about removing emotional volatility from the equation. Emotions is not the enemy in life. It is an intrinsic part of being human. The problem begins when emotion overrides principle, when feelings dictate actions that contradict long-term strategy. Imagine watching the market decline sharply. Headlines predict disaster, using alarming language. Conversations with friends are filled with worry and pessimism. Your instinct, driven by a primal fear of loss, may urge you to withdraw your investments immediately, to get out before it gets worse. Yet, if you have committed to the consistent allocation of the 33% rule, you pause, you review your system, you remember your long-term horizon and the resilience built into your 3 pillars. Instead of reacting impulsively, you follow your predetermined rule, perhaps even seeing the downturn as an opportunity to buy. Now consider the opposite scenario. Markets rise rapidly, seemingly without end. Friends boast about quick gains. Social media celebrates easy money and overnight millionaires. Excitement builds, and you feel an intense pressure to invest more than planned, or to chase assets you barely understand, fueled by FOMO, the fear of missing out. Again, motion pushes. But a disciplined structure, anchored by the 33% rule, responds calmly. You invest according to your predetermined percentage, no more, no less, resisting the urge to deviate from your balanced plan. Removing emotion does not mean becoming cold or detached from life. It means placing well-thought-out rules above transient moods. When income arrives, it is divided automatically, without internal debate or second-guessing. When investment contributions are due, they are made consistently, without hesitation. When lifestyle boundaries are defined by your living portion, they are respected. No impulse overrides them. Think of a pilot flying through thick clouds or severe turbulence. Visibility is low, and the aircraft may be shaking violently. If the pilot ignores the instruments and flies purely by feeling, by gut instinct or panic, danger increases exponentially. Instead, the pilot trusts the instruments. The system's engineered for stability. The system guides direction, even when the senses are overwhelmed. Your financial structure, the 33% rule, functions in precisely the same way. It becomes your instrument panel, your reliable guide, when emotional visibility is low. When visibility is low, emotional decisions often feel perfectly justified. In the moment, I deserve this luxury after working so hard. This opportunity will never return. I cannot afford to miss out. Everyone else is doing it. These thoughts can sound reasonable to your inner voice, yet they are rarely tested against long-term consequences or the integrity of your overall strategy. Structure forces you to slow down. It creates a critical pause between impulse and action, allowing rational thought to reassert itself. One highly effective practice to combat emotional decision-making is pre-commitment. Decide in advance how you will respond to common financial situations. How much risk will you tolerate? What percentage will you invest monthly, regardless of market conditions? Under what specific, objective conditions would you adjust your strategy? When these decisions are made in calm, rational moments, they are far wiser. When decisions are made in emotional moments, they are almost always reactive, often regrettable. Consider someone who receives a large bonus or an unexpected inheritance. Without structure, that bonus may dissolve quickly into upgrades, temporary pleasures, or even reckless investments. With structure, the division is immediate, almost automatic. 1/3 for living adjustments, if appropriate, 1/3 for investment growth, 1/3 for protection and reserves. The excitement remains, but it does not control the financial outcome. The windfall is leveraged for lasting prosperity, not transient gratification. Fear can be equally destructive to wealth. A small economic downturn can trigger panic selling, converting paper losses into real ones. A temporary income reduction can cause the abandonment of long-term plans. Yet, if you have a protected third in reserves, if you'll have diversified investments, if your lifestyle remains below your power, fear loses its dominance. Preparation weakens emotional extremes. It provides psychological buffer. Another common emotional driver is comparison. Observing others who appear more successful, who display greater affluence, can create intense internal pressure. You may feel behind or compelled to accelerate your strategy beyond what is prudent for your own circumstances, but comparison ignores context. It ignores their risk tolerance, their reserves, their underlying systems, which may differ significantly from yours. Structure protects you from chasing someone else's path at the cost of your own stability and peace of mind. Removing emotion also improves generosity. Strategic giving becomes planned rather than reactive. You contribute consistently, purposefully, without guilt or impulsive overextension. This creates both a greater positive impact and internal financial balance. Discipline feels restrictive at first, but over time, it creates profound freedom. When your financial decisions follow predetermined rules, mental energy is preserved. You are not constantly negotiating with yourself. You are not constantly second-guessing every choice. You act with clarity, conviction, and calm. Wealth is not built in dramatic, emotional moments of excitement. It is built in quiet, consistent repetition. It is built when emotions rise and your system remains steady, unwavering. The 33% rule is designed precisely for this reason. It protects you from yourself during emotional highs and lows, allowing you to chart a steady course toward enduring prosperity. Remove emotion from financial decisions by installing structure that operates regardless of your mood. Trust your principles more than your impulses. Over time, stability replaces volatility. confidence replaces anxiety, and prosperity becomes less about dramatic moves and more about steady control. That steady control is one of the strongest assets you will ever own. Chapter 10. Building wealth through relationships and reputation. Money multiplies faster in the presence of trust. Skills matter. Capital matters. Strategy matters. But relationships and reputation often determine how far and how fast those elements can truly grow. Wealth rarely expands in isolation. It expands within networks, within communities, where trust lowers friction, where opportunities circulate freely, and where collaboration creates exponential leverage. Consider this carefully. Access is a profound form of wealth. Access to vital information, access to powerful partnerships, access to lucrative deals, access to invaluable advice from those who have already walked the path and achieved significant success. Strong, authentic relationships create that access. A stellar reputation protects it, ensuring it endures. Without trust, doors remain closed, opportunities are withheld. With trust, doors open quietly and consistently, almost effortlessly. Think about how business truly moves. Significant investments are often shared within trusted circles. Partnerships are formed between individuals and entities who have demonstrated unwavering character and reliability. Capital flows naturally toward those who possess a strong reputation for integrity and competence, but citizens known for their honesty, fairness, and commitment to their word attracts opportunity differently and more powerfully than someone known for shortcuts, transactional thinking, or ethical compromises. Over time, reputation becomes invisible collateral, a powerful asset that supports you even when money alone cannot. It provides a foundation of credibility that enhances every other financial endeavor. Building relationships does not mean merely collecting contacts on social media platform or hoarding business cards. It means cultivating genuine, long-term connections based on mutual value, respect, and shared purpose. It means showing up consistently, not just when you need something, but always. It means honoring your commitments, no matter how small. It means communicating clearly and transparently. These behaviors may appear simple, almost basic, yet they compound in power and influence, just like money does. A small act of reliability, repeated over years, builds a powerful, unshakable credibility that opens countless doors. Imagine two entrepreneurs with equal skill and talent. One operates transactionally, focused only on immediate gain, extracting value at every turn. The other invests deeply in relationships, prioritizing fairness, transparency, and long-term cooperation. The first may achieve quick wins, short-term successes, but will inevitably struggle to sustain momentum and find lasting partners. The second builds enduring alliances. Investors return for new ventures. Clients refer others confidently. Partners collaborate again and again, knowing their interests are respected. The second entrepreneur's network becomes an organic, self-sustaining engine of expansion and opportunity. Reputation also protects you during difficult seasons. When mistakes occur, as they inevitably do in any dynamic endeavor, Trust determines how others respond. A strong, long-standing reputation earns patience. It earns understanding. It preserves opportunity even after setbacks. Without it, even minor missteps or temporary challenges can close doors permanently, eroding future potential. Building wealth through relationships requires intentional, proactive effort. Attend gatherings not only to gain, but to contribute. Offer insight where you can. Share resources generously within your limits. Listen more than you speak, truly seeking to understand others. Value people beyond their immediate utility or benefit. Over time, these consistent actions position you within powerful circles of opportunity and influence. There is also profound wisdom in carefully choosing your environment and your closest associations. Surround yourself with individuals who value discipline, growth, integrity, and long-term thinking. Habits spread through proximity. Financial attitudes and behaviors spread through conversation. If your environment normalizes reckless spending, impulsive speculation, or ethical shortcuts, your carefully built financial structure will constantly be tested and undermined. If your environment respects patience, strategy, and responsible stewardship, discipline becomes easier, almost naturally reinforced. Reputation extends beyond business and into personal finance. When lenders, potential partners, or even family members observe your consistency, responsibility, and financial order, their confidence in you grows. Even within family systems, reputation shapes trust. If you are known for stability and clear thinking, others will naturally look to you during times of uncertainty, not just for financial aid, but for counsel and guidance. That influence, that leadership, becomes invaluable. Trust takes years to build and mere moments to damage. Protect it carefully, as if it were your most precious asset. Avoid unnecessary risks that compromise your integrity or ethical standing. Resist opportunities that promise rapid gain at a moral or relational cost. The 33% rule itself reflects this principle. It values long-term stability and resilience over short-term excitement and speculation. In the same way, your relationships must reflect long-term thinking built on a foundation of mutual trust and respect. Generosity, when structured wisely and genuinely, also strengthens networks. Supporting community initiatives, mentoring others, or contributing your expertise to causes you believe in builds immense goodwill. This is not manipulation, it is alignment with values that foster collective prosperity. Prosperity flourishes most robustly in cooperative, trusting ecosystems. Remember, wealth that stands alone is fragile. Wealth connected to strong ethical relationships is resilient and expansive. When challenges arise, your networks provide perspective, resources, and emotional support. When opportunities appear, your networks accelerate action and open doors that would otherwise remain shut. Building relationships and reputation requires patience. Results may not be immediate or easily quantifiable, but over decades, the return on trust often surpasses the return on isolated, purely transactional effort. Capital invested in people, wisely and ethically, creates leverage that money alone cannot achieve. Protect your name, guard your integrity, contribute value before expecting return. Surround yourself with disciplined, growth-oriented thinkers. Wealth flows more smoothly through trusted channels. And when your robust financial structure, guided by the 33% rule, is paired with strong ethical relationships, lasting prosperity becomes not only attainable, but truly sustainable. Chapter 11. Turn setbacks into structured opportunities. Setbacks are not interruptions to the wealth-building journey. They are an inherent, inevitable part of it. Markets decline. Businesses slow. Unexpected expenses arise. Plans fail. And sometimes, even our best intentions fall short. The question is never whether difficulty will come. The real question is how you respond when it does. Without structure, setbacks create panic, leading to reactive, often self-destructive decisions. With structure, however, setbacks reveal opportunity, allowing you to adapt and even thrive. The profound difference lies in preparation. When you diligently follow the 33% rule, living below your power, investing consistently, protecting substantial reserves, you build shock absorbers into your financial life. So when an impact comes, it does not shatter you. It tests you, and tests, when handled correctly, build greater strength and deepen your discipline. Consider a sudden loss of income, perhaps a job layoff, or a significant client departure from your business. For someone living at the very edge of their means, without any buffer, this feels catastrophic. Bills accumulate quickly. Debt becomes the immediate, often high-interest, solution. Stress clouds judgment, leading to desperate decisions. In stark contrast, someone who has diligently protected 1/3 of their income for stability responds fundamentally differently. Reserves activate. Essential expenses are covered for months. Investments may continue carefully or pause strategically, but the financial foundation remains intact. The same external event produces two vastly different outcomes, not because of luck, but because structure was present in one life and dangerously absent in the other. Setbacks also frequently create unique buying opportunities. Economic downturns often reduce asset prices across the board. Businesses become undervalued. Real estate markets cool. Fear drives selling, often by those who are financially overstretched or emotionally unequipped. Those with discipline and sufficient reserves, those who have practiced the 33% rule, can step forward when others retreat. This is not reckless risk-taking. It is strategic positioning, a calm and calculated move. You do not hope for crisis, but when it arrives, you are prepared to act calmly, rationally, and opportunistically. History repeatedly shows that many significant fortunes are built during uncertain times, not because those individuals were fearless, but because they were structured, they had liquidity, they had patience, and they maintained a long-term horizon. When everyone else focused on survival, they quietly focused on opportunity. Turning setbacks into structured opportunities requires emotional control, a theme we explored earlier. The principle of removing emotion from financial decisions becomes especially critical here. Fear narrows vision. It pushes you to protect the present at the expense of the future, often at the worst possible moment. Discipline, however, widens vision. It reminds you that cycles are temporary, that downturns are part of a larger pattern. Structure anchors you when headlines exaggerate, public sentiment plunges into despair. Imagine an investor during a severe market decline. Prices drop significantly. Social conversations become overwhelmingly pessimistic. If that investor has no rule, no guiding system, panic may dictate behavior, leading to premature selling. But if the investor follows a predetermined strategy, continuing consistent contributions, dollar cost averaging, reviewing underlying fundamentals, and maintaining diversification, the decline becomes an accumulation season. Over time, when the market inevitably recovers, the gains purchased during uncertainty are dramatically amplified. Setbacks in business can also create powerful opportunities for refinement and growth. Ford project exposes weaknesses in your process or strategy. A lost client highlights overdependence on a single revenue stream. A financial mistake reveals gaps in your planning or risk management. If you respond defensively, blaming external factors, you learn little. If you respond structurally, you analyze calmly, objectively. What failed? Why? How can our reserves be strengthened? How can diversification improve? How can we adapt our products or services? Every setback, every challenge becomes invaluable data, a chance for iterative improvement. There is also profound personal growth embedded within difficulty. Financial stress tests character. It exposes impatience, overconfidence, or a lack of planning. When you face setbacks with discipline, you refine your habits, you strengthen your boundaries, you deepen your commitment to structure and long-term vision. This does not mean celebrating hardship. It means refusing to waste it. Every downturn contains information. Every challenge reveals something fundamental about your system. If reserves are insufficient, increase them. If investments are too concentrated, diversify. If our pressure is too high, adjust downward. Use difficulty as honest, direct feedback to fortify your system. The 33% rule is powerful precisely because it anticipates setbacks. 1/3 protects, 1/3 grows, 1/3 sustains living. When these categories are clearly defined and respected, shocks become manageable. You do not scramble. You execute your pre-plan and response. Over time, you may even begin to view downturns differently, not with excitement, but with perspective. You recognize patterns. You understand cycles. You know that disciplined action during uncertainty often produces disproportionate rewards later, positioning you years ahead of those who lacked preparation. Setbacks are inevitable. Collapse is not. Panic is optional. When structure governs your financial life, challenges lose their power to derail you. Instead, They refine you, they strengthen you, and in many cases, they position you significantly ahead of those who lacked the foresight and preparation. Turn setbacks into structured opportunities. Let difficulties sharpen your system rather than break it. In doing so, you transform adversity into a distinct advantage, and that transformation is one of the clearest signs of lasting prosperity. Chapter 12. Expand only when your foundation is solid. Growth is attractive. Expansion feels powerful. Increasing income, acquiring more assets, launching new ventures. These moves signal progress and ambition. Yet, expansion without a solid foundation is one of the most common reasons wealth collapses, leading to stress, fragility, and eventual loss. The desire to grow must always be balanced by the discipline to stabilize. Expand only when your foundation is solid. A strong foundation, in the context of the 33% rule, consists of three crucial, interconnected elements: controlled living expenses, consistent investment habits, and protected, ample reserves. If any of these foundational elements are weak or neglected, expansion magnifies risk rather than reward. Growth, by its very nature, amplifies whatever structure already exists. If the structure is disciplined and robust, growth strengthens it further. If the structure is unstable and fragile, growth merely exposes or exacerbates its weaknesses, like adding weight to a wobbly table. Imagine constructing a building. No wise engineer begins with the upper floors. Time, meticulous care, and significant resources are first invested in laying a strong, deep base. Reinforcement is added. Stability is tested rigorously. Only then, with the foundation proven, does vertical expansion begin. Your financial life follows precisely the same principle. If you scale income rapidly, but have no substantial reserves, no clear allocation strategy, and no disciplined system for your personal finances, pressure inevitably increases. Larger numbers do not automatically equate to greater safety. In many cases, they create greater vulnerability, as the stakes are higher and the consequences of missteps more severe. Consider an entrepreneur whose business begins to grow quickly. Revenue increases, opportunities multiply, and the temptation is immense to reinvest aggressively into immediate expansion, new offices, larger teams, ambitious new projects. If, however, this entrepreneur's personal finances are not stable, personal debt levels are high, if emergency reserves are thin, if their lifestyle has expanded beyond control, this business expansion becomes incredibly fragile. One downturn in revenue, one unexpected market shift, and the pressure on both the business and personal life becomes overwhelming, potentially leading to bankruptcy. In contrast, an entrepreneur who strengthens their personal financial foundation first, maintaining robust reserves, controlling personal lifestyle, investing systematically outside the business, can expand their venture confidently. When fluctuations occur, the stable base absorbs the shock, allowing the business to weather the storm without personal financial collapse. Expansion also applies critically to lifestyle. When income rises, the urge to upgrade everything simultaneously is strong. A larger home, a more expensive car, additional subscriptions, more frequent luxury travel, increased social commitments. Yet, if these upgrades consume all available flexibility and stretch your budget to its limit, the foundation weakens. The principle of living below your power must remain constant, even as your income grows. Expansion in lifestyle should prudently follow expansion in security and reserves, not precede it. Your financial resilience should always grow faster than your consumption. The 33% rule provides natural, built-in checkpoints before you embark on significant expansion. Before expanding investments into higher-risk assets or speculative ventures, ensure your protective third, your reserves, healthy and robust. Before increasing fixed expenses such as a larger mortgage or new car payment, confirm that your living portion remains manageable, even under stress or a temporary income reduction. Before entering new partnerships or launching ambitious ventures, verify that your core personal financial structure can withstand temporary losses or unexpected demands. These questions are designed to slow impulsive decisions and protect long-term progress, ensuring that growth is additive, not destructive. There is profound wisdom in gradual scaling. Small, measured expansions allow for testing and feedback. They reveal weaknesses in your system before consequences become severe or irreversible. If you increase your investments, monitor their performance and diversification diligently. If you grow a business, meticulously track cash flow stability and profit margins. If you acquire property, evaluate long-term maintenance costs and market conditions carefully. Controlled growth allows for correction and adaptation. Rapid, unexamined, and highly leveraged growth often eliminates the chance to adjust, leading to catastrophic failure. Patience is often misunderstood as hesitation. In reality, patience is active preparation. Expanding too soon often stems from ego or comparison. You may observe others scaling quickly and feel internal pressure to match their pace, fearing you will be left behind. But comparison ignores context, their risk tolerance, their reserves, their underlying systems, and their personal situations may differ significantly from yours. Sustainable prosperity requires alignment with your own structure and values, not imitation of someone else's pace. Another key element of a solid foundation is prudent debt management. Expansion, financed by excessive leverage, creates immense fragility. While strategic borrowing can indeed accelerate growth in certain circumstances, e.g., for productive assets like a well-researched business venture or income-producing real estate, it must be approached with extreme caution. Debt should enhance productive assets, not inflate lifestyle or support speculative gambles. And even when taking on strategic debt, robust safeguards must exist. If cash flow tightens unexpectedly, can obligations still be met comfortably without jeopardizing your core stability? If not, the expansion may be premature. Solid foundations also include emotional readiness. Growth increases complexity. More assets require more oversight. More income requires stronger discipline to manage effectively. More opportunities demand clearer, more objective judgment. If emotional control is weak, Expansion amplifies stress and susceptibility to mistakes. If discipline is strong, expansion amplifies positive results. Think of growth as a multiplier. It multiplies strengths and weaknesses alike. Therefore, invest deeply in strengthening the base. Maintain consistent allocation according to the 33% rule. Preserve emergency reserves diligently. Diversify intelligently. Protect your reputation and relationships as they are non-financial assets. When these elements are stable and robust, expansion becomes a natural, confident progression rather than a risky leap of faith. There is no rush to acquire more if what you have is unstable. Wealth built patiently tends to endure. Wealth built rapidly, without foundation, often requires painful, costly rebuilding. Time invested in strengthening your financial structure is never wasted. It reduces anxiety. It increases resilience. It builds profound confidence. When your foundation is solid, expansion feels calm rather than frantic. Decisions are thoughtful rather than reactive. Opportunities are evaluated against clear criteria rather than pursued out of a fear of missing out. You move forward not because you are pressured, but because you are prepared. Expand only when the base is stable. Strengthen before scaling. Confirm before committing. In doing so, you ensure that growth adds durability rather than fragility. And durable growth, steady, controlled, and aligned with a robust structure, is what transforms temporary success into lasting, undeniable prosperity. Chapter 13. Convert your skills into ownership. Income from labor is powerful and necessary, but ownership creates true leverage. When you trade your time for money, your earning potential is inherently tied to the hours you work, the contracts you secure, or the salary you negotiate. Your capacity is finite. When you convert your valuable skills into ownership, however, your earning potential expands exponentially beyond your personal active effort. That fundamental shift from a solely worker to becoming an owner is one of the most transformative financial transitions you can make on the path to lasting prosperity. Your skills are immensely valuable. Whether you are a highly trained professional, an innovative entrepreneur, meticulous technician, a sought-after consultant, or a creative artist, you possess unique abilities that solve problems, create beauty, or deliver value to others. At first, those abilities primarily generate income directly. You perform a service, you work on a project, you are paid. This is honorable, essential, and forms the bedrock of most people's financial lives. But if you stop there, if you rely solely on trading hours for dollars, your growth will always remain limited by your finite time and energy. Ownership fundamentally changes the equation. Ownership allows your skill, your knowledge, or your effort to produce income, even when you are not actively working every single moment. It creates a passive or semi-passive income stream that frees your time and multiplies your reach. The effort invested once continues to produce returns repeatedly. That, my friends, is leverage. Consider a skilled graphic designer who earns a good living from client projects. If that designer only works on commissions, their income depends entirely on constant, active effort on always finding the next client. But if the same designer creates a product, perhaps a set of customizable templates, an online course teaching design principles, or even takes equity in a brand they helped build, their skill becomes an asset. It begins to generate revenue repeatedly, even as they sleep or work on other projects. The initial investment of time and skill continues to produce returns. Ownership can take many forms, and its beauty lies in its adaptability to different skill sets and circumstances. It may be equity in a growing business, whether a startup you founded or a well-established company you invest in. It may be shares in productive, dividend-paying public companies. It may be real estate that generates rental income, where your skill in identifying good properties or managing them creates value. It may be intellectual property like patents, books, music, or software. The form of ownership is less important than the underlying principle, moving from earning income solely through active effort to earning income through assets that are connected to or born from your skills and knowledge. This transition does not require immediate, large investments or a complete career overhaul. It begins with a shift in perspective. Start asking yourself different questions. How can my knowledge be packaged into an asset? How can my experience be leveraged into something scalable? How can I participate in ownership rather than only receiving compensation for my time? Imagine a highly skilled employee in a growing company. Over time, instead of seeking only salary increases, this individual strategically negotiates for partial equity, stock options, or performance-based shares. As the company grows and succeeds, so too does their ownership stake. Their income now flows not only from their wages, but also from the appreciation of their ownership. The same principle applies to partnerships. When you contribute specialized expertise to a venture, consider structuring your involvement to include equity participation, aligning your long-term interests with the venture's success. Ownership also profoundly encourages long-term thinking. When you own part of an asset, you care deeply about its sustainability, its long-term value, and its potential for growth. Your decisions shift from short-term gain, e.g., how much can I make this month, to long-term value creation. How can I ensure this asset continues to produce for decades? This mindset aligns perfectly with the enduring philosophy of the 33% rule. Your investment third, instead of being a vehicle for impulsive speculation, becomes a dedicated channel for accumulating meaningful stakes in productive assets. Risk must, of course, be managed carefully. Not every ownership opportunity is wise or lucrative. Due diligence matters. Diversification remains critically important. Yet, avoiding ownership entirely out of fear of risk limits your potential for true leveraged wealth growth. Strategic ownership, guided by clear principles and robust financial structure, expands wealth steadily and sustainably. Think of it this way: labor creates income, ownership creates wealth. Income supports your lifestyle. Wealth builds independence and legacy. If you rely solely on earned income, you must continue working indefinitely to maintain stability and your desired lifestyle. When ownership grows, your assets begin to contribute significantly. They produce dividends, rent, appreciation, or profit distributions. Gradually, the pressure on your active labor decreases. This does not mean abandoning your profession or your passion. It means enhancing it. Continue refining your skills. Continue increasing your earned income, but consistently allocate a part of that income into ownership vehicles. Over time, the balance shifts. Your assets become silent, tireless partners in your prosperity, working for you 24/7. There is also a deep sense of dignity and responsibility in ownership. It cultivates financial literacy and strategic thinking. When you own, you pay closer attention. You learn. You analyze. You understand market dynamics and business fundamentals more intimately. This education compounds, just like capital. Each ownership experience sharpens your judgment for the next, making you a more astute and discerning investor. Consider someone who consistently invests 1/3 of their income into diversified equities and real assets over decades, even without dramatic risk-taking or trying to get rich quick. Ownership stakes accumulate steadily. Dividends grow. Asset values appreciate. Eventually, the income generated from ownership may rival or even surpass their earned income. That is not luck. That is the result of structured, disciplined participation in productive systems. Converting skills into ownership requires initiative. It requires asking different, more profound questions. Instead of, "How much can I earn this year?" ask, "What can I own that will earn for me in future years, leveraging my existing skills?" That shift in question changes your financial direction entirely. Start where you are. Identify one opportunity, even a small one, to move from pure compensation toward ownership. Allocate capital carefully within the framework of your 33% rule. Remain patient. Let time and compounding work in your favor. When your skills create ownership, and ownership creates income, and that income is structured through the 33% rule, prosperity strengthens from multiple directions. You are no longer dependent on a single stream. You are building a system, a resilient ecosystem of wealth, and systems, when disciplined and well managed, endure. Chapter 14. Keep your wealth quiet and your standards high. Noise attracts attention. Attention attracts pressure. Pressure, especially social pressure, often attracts unnecessary risk and can erode the very foundation of lasting prosperity. One of the quiet, yet most profound strengths behind enduring wealth is discretion, not secrecy driven by fear or illicit activity, but privacy driven by timeless wisdom. When wealth grows quietly, it grows steadily and robustly. When it becomes a performance, a spectacle for others, it often becomes unstable, fragile, and prone to collapse. In a world that constantly rewards display and outward validation, financial restraint becomes an act of immense power. Modern social environments, fueled by social media and consumer culture, encourage visible success, luxury signals, constant upgrades, public announcements of achievements. Yet, visible wealth is not always durable wealth. Sometimes it is highly leveraged wealth, built on precarious debt. Sometimes it is temporary income, a fleeting moment of abundance. Sometimes it is simply pressure, disguised status, an expensive illusion. True financial strength and security do not need constant external validation or applause. They are self-evident to those who possess them. Keeping your wealth quiet protects your focus. When others are unaware of the full scope of your financial progress, fewer expectations are imposed on you. Fewer comparisons influence your decisions, freeing you from the relentless treadmill. Fewer social obligations subtly or overtly stretch your resources. Privacy gives you the essential mental space to think clearly, to act strategically, and to make decisions that are aligned with your long-term goals, not external perceptions. Consider two individuals whose investments are growing significantly. The first shares every gain publicly, discusses every new asset acquired, and signals every lifestyle upgrade on social media. Praise and admiration often follow, but so does scrutiny, envy, and unsolicited advice. Pressure increases to maintain appearances, to project an image of effortless success. Their risk tolerance may subtly shift to sustain that image, leading to imprudent decisions. The second individual, however, continues building quietly, diligently. No announcements, no unnecessary exposure, no flaunting of acquisitions. Investments compound steadily, month after month, year after year. Their peace of mind remains intact, protected from external pressures. Over time, the quiet builder often preserves and accumulates far more with less stress and greater clarity. This does not mean living small or denying yourself comfort when you can genuinely afford it. It means aligning your lifestyle with your authentic values and long-term strategy rather than external validation or comparison. Your standards should indeed be high. High standards in discipline, in ethics, in the quality of your investments, and in the quality of your life. But those high standards do not require public display. A well-managed, comfortable home, a reliable vehicle chosen for utility, thoughtful and purposeful spending, these are expressions of stability, good judgment, and true comfort, not spectacle. Privacy also fundamentally strengthens your security. Financial visibility can invite unnecessary complications, unsolicited advice from dubious sources, opportunistic partnerships, requests for loans or gifts from distant acquaintances, and social pressure to spend on things you do not truly value. Keeping your wealth understated reduces these distractions and potential threats. It allows you to evaluate opportunities and manage your resources without external influence or the distorting lens of public perception. There is a profound psychological strength in immodest presentation. When you are not constantly trying to impress others, you are free to truly improve yourself and your situation. Energy shifts from outward display to internal development. Time shifts from comparison to focused strategy. The 33% rule thrives in quiet, disciplined environments. It requires consistency, not applause. It demands internal conviction, not external validation. High standards, however, remain absolutely essential for quiet wealth. Quiet wealth is not careless wealth. Maintain excellence in the areas that truly matter. Meticulous financial record keeping, thorough investment research, robust risk management, unwavering professional and personal integrity. Strive for quality in your work, in your decisions, and in the relationships you cultivate. High standards build deep internal confidence, even if external attention is minimal. Think of long-standing family enterprises that endure across generations. Many operate without excessive publicity or ostentatious display. They quietly reinvest profits, protect their assets diligently, maintain conservative leverage, and focus on deep, trusted relationships. Their strength lies in their internal discipline and strategic foresight rather than their public image. Public recognition may come as a byproduct of their success, but it is never the primary objective. There is also profound humility in quiet wealth. Humility reduces ego-driven decisions. Ego often fuels risky expansion, unnecessary luxury purchases, and the desperate urge to catch up with others. Humility reinforces patience, allowing you to accept gradual, compounding growth without dissatisfaction. It reminds you that prosperity is a responsibility, a stewardship, not merely a trophy to be paraded. Keeping wealth quiet can also protect your most important relationships. When financial differences are not emphasized or flaunted, interactions remain more authentic and grounded. You are valued for your character, your wisdom, and your presence, not for your capital. This distinction matters deeply. Wealth that isolates is fragile. Wealth integrated into balanced, authentic relationships is stable and enriching. Ask yourself honestly, are your financial decisions primarily influenced by genuine need and long-term strategy, or by how they might be perceived by others? If an expense is motivated primarily by impression, reconsider its true value. If an upgrade increases financial pressure rather than mental peace, reconsider. Quiet wealth inherently favors peace of mind and long-term security. The goal is not invisibility, it is intentionality. When you speak about your financial life, do so thoughtfully, with purpose, and within trusted circles. When you celebrate progress, do so privately or with those who genuinely share your journey and values. Let your results compound without constant commentary or seeking external validation. High standards, consistently applied, ensure that your quiet wealth remains strong and resilient. Continuous learning, regular review of your allocation, annual reassessment of goals. These practices sustain momentum without spectacle. Over decades, quiet discipline often outperforms loud ambition. Modest presentation preserves capital. Focused strategy accelerates compounding. And when prosperity is grounded in humility, order, and self-awareness, it tends to endure for generations. Keep your wealth quiet. Keep your standards high. Let your structure speak louder than your display. In doing so, you protect not only your assets, but your profound peace of mind. And peace, above all else, is one of the clearest and most valuable signs of lasting prosperity. Chapter 15. Teach the system before you pass the money. Money without understanding disappears quickly. Systems without money can rebuild wealth again. and again. If lasting prosperity, enduring across generations, is your ultimate goal, then teaching the foundational structure, the why and how of your financial philosophy, must come before simply transferring the assets. Inheritance without education often weakens families, fostering entitlement and poor stewardship. Inheritance, paired with discipline and profound understanding, however, strengthens generations, empowering them to adapt, grow, and perpetuate prosperity. It is tempting for successful individuals to believe that leaving substantial financial resources behind is enough. After all, capital provides immense opportunity. It offers comfort. It removes certain struggles and opens doors, but without the mindset, the habits, and the unwavering discipline that created the capital, wealth becomes incredibly fragile. The 33% rule is not just a method for managing income. It is a profound philosophy of balance, restraint, growth, and protection. That philosophy, that ethos, must be taught deliberately, patiently, and consistently. Consider two families. In the first, wealth is accumulated carefully over decades by a disciplined patriarch or matriarch. Investments grow, assets multiply. When the next generation eventually receives access to those resources, little to no explicit guidance accompanies them. Spending increases exponentially. Investments are handled emotionally, reacting to market whims. The carefully constructed structure fades, misunderstood, and unappreciated. Within a relatively short time, the significant financial strength erodes, sometimes completely disappearing. In the second family, long before any formal transfer occurs, children observe discipline in action. They see income provided consistently. They learn the importance of reserves and the power of compounding. They understand delayed gratification, not as a punishment, but as a path to greater freedom. When wealth eventually changes hands, it is not a sudden, overwhelming burden of new power. It is a continuation of familiar principles, a stewardship of an inherited system, understood and respected. Teaching the system begins with transparency, but at the right level and at the appropriate age. Age and maturity matter. Young children may not need complex financial discussions, but they can understand simple allocation. A small allowance divided into categories, spending, saving, and giving, teaches early structure, the fundamental concept of intentional allocation. These become natural habits rather than foreign, intimidating concepts. As maturity increases, conversations deepen. Explain why living below your power matters. Share how investments compound over time. Discuss setbacks honestly and how the structure provided protection. These lessons build context. They make wealth understandable, demystifying it rather than presenting it as an abstract, untouchable secret. Teaching also includes modeling behavior. Words carry weight, but consistent behavior carries far more. If you preach discipline, yet practice impulse, confusion, and cynicism follow. If you speak of protection, yet neglect your own reserves, your credibility weakens. Consistency between principle and action builds trust and deepens learning. Your life becomes the most powerful textbook. There is profound wisdom in involving family members gradually in financial discussions and even decisions. Allow them to observe how investments are evaluated, invite questions, encourage critical thinking about financial choices. This builds confidence and competence. It prepares them to manage complexity responsibly, making them active participants in the family's financial future rather than passive recipients. The system you teach must also include a strong foundation of values. Prosperity is not purely mechanical. It reflects character. Teach in business dealings. Teach patience in growth. Teach generosity within the framework of a structured, sustainable plan. When values anchor the system, wealth serves a noble purpose rather than merely fueling ego or unsustainable consumption. Some individuals hesitate to discuss finances openly within families, fearing entitlement or pressure. Yet, silence often creates greater risk. Without understanding, sudden access to substantial capital can overwhelm, leading to poor choices. Guided education, on the other hand, builds maturity and financial wisdom. It frames wealth as a sacred stewardship, a responsibility to be managed wisely, rather than an entitlement to be consumed thoughtlessly. Consider establishing written guidelines or family principles. Document the allocation philosophy of the 33% rule. Clarify expectations around investment, protection, and giving. This creates continuity and clarity beyond a single individual's lifetime. It transforms wealth management from a private skill into a shared family culture, a collective commitment to enduring prosperity. There is also immense benefit in teaching financial literacy beyond immediate heirs. Mentoring younger relatives, supporting educational initiatives, or encouraging disciplined financial habits within your broader social circles strengthens community resilience. Prosperity expands more sustainably when knowledge spreads alongside capital, creating a ripple effect of financial strength. Teaching the system before passing the money protects your legacy. It ensures that what took decades of diligent effort to build does not unravel in a few short years. It empowers the next generation to adapt to new economic realities while preserving the foundational discipline that made the wealth possible. Remember, assets can be lost, skills can be forgotten, but structured thinking, once internalized and understood, tends to endure. When future generations understand why income must be divided, why reserves must be protected, and why growth must be consistent, they carry forward more than just money. They carry forward profound wisdom, a blueprint for lasting success. Pass down principles first. Share the logic. Model the discipline. Let understanding take root long before inheritance arrives. When the system becomes cemented in identity, wealth becomes less fragile and infinitely more sustainable. And sustainability across decades, across generations, is the true measure of lasting prosperity. Chapter 16. Build a family culture of financial order. Wealth survives where order exists. It fades rapidly where chaos is tolerated or even celebrated. If you want prosperity to last beyond your own lifetime, if you envision a legacy that extends for generations, it cannot depend on one disciplined individual alone. It must become an intrinsic part of the family culture. Culture shapes behavior, even when no one is explicitly watching. Culture guides decisions, even when emotions are strong or temptations are high. A family culture of financial order is one of the most powerful protections wealth can have, an invisible architecture of enduring prosperity. Financial order begins with shared understanding and transparency. Every member of the household, to an age-appropriate degree, should understand the basic structure of your financial life. Income is divided with intention, not randomness. Growth is pursued consistently, not sporadically. Protection is non-negotiable, a sacred trust. And lifestyle remains thoughtfully controlled, always below your capacity, never above it. When these principles are visible, discussed, and consistently repeated, they become normal. What feels normal becomes sustainable, a natural way of life. In many households, money is handled privately by one person, the primary earner or financial manager. Others, including partners and children, remain largely unaware of the true financial structure, the obligations, or the long-term strategy. This creates dependency rather than strength. If that one person is suddenly removed from the equation through illness, death, or unforeseen circumstances, confusion, mismanagement, and potential financial distress inevitably follow. Building a family culture of financial order means gradually increasing awareness and involvement for all, not overwhelming others with complexity, but inviting them into understanding and shared responsibility. Regular, calm conversations matter immensely. Discuss budgeting without tension or blame. Review investment progress annually, celebrating successes and learning from challenges. Talk about financial goals openly. What are you collectively saving for? When money becomes a subject that can be discussed transparently and constructively, rather than with secrecy or conflict, financial maturity grows within the family. Silence often creates misunderstanding, fear, or resentment. Clarity builds confidence and strengthens collective purpose. Family culture also includes shared expectations and mutual accountability. If one member diligently practices financial discipline, while another practices unchecked excess, tension and conflict will undoubtedly arise, undermining the entire structure. Alignment, even if it requires compromise, reduces conflict and strengthens the collective commitment. This does not mean rigid, authoritarian control. It means mutual agreement on core principles. For example, agreeing that personal debt will be minimized, that savings will be prioritized for long-term goals, and that large expenses will be evaluated carefully by all relevant parties. Shared standards reduce impulsive decisions and reinforce collective discipline. Consider a family where children observe structured financial behavior over many years. They see income allocated immediately according to the 33% rule. They notice that lifestyle upgrades are thoughtful and deliberate rather than automatic reactions to increased income. They observe that investments are reviewed patiently, not obsessively. Over time, These consistent patterns quietly shape their own instincts and financial habits. Discipline becomes familiar and empowering, rather than restrictive or burdensome. This is how values are transmitted most effectively. Financial order also fundamentally requires documentation and organization. Clear records of income and expenses, organized accounts, the three-part division, and defined long-term plans prevent confusion and stress, especially during major life transitions. If assets are scattered without clarity, stress increases exponentially during inheritance or unexpected events. Organization communicates seriousness and shows that wealth is managed intentionally, not haphazardly. Another critical element is age-appropriate responsibility. Assign children and teenagers financial tasks. Encourage them to manage small budgets or savings goals. Allow young adults to participate in discussions about long-term planning, retirement, or charitable giving. Responsibility builds competence. Competence builds confidence. And competent individuals are far less likely to misuse resources or fall prey to financial traps. A culture of financial order does not eliminate enjoyment or pleasure. On the contrary, it enhances it. When structure exists, celebrations are guilt-free, knowing they are within your means. Vacations are planned and enjoyed without destabilizing reserves. Generosity is offered freely and powerfully, yet always within clear, sustainable limits. Order provides freedom, not restriction. It removes the stress of scarcity and the fear of the unknown. Disciplines must also extend to conflict resolution regarding finances. Financial disagreements are inevitable in any family. How they are handled profoundly shapes the culture. Calm, respectful discussion, data-based decisions rather than emotional arguments, and a commitment to upholding agreed-upon principles prevent emotional escalation and lasting damage. If arguments are resolved by impulse, dominance, or avoidance, the culture of order weakens. Think of financial culture as an invisible architecture. Just as physical homes require consistent maintenance and occasional repairs, cultural architecture requires regular reinforcement. Annual reviews of financial goals, honest assessment of spending patterns, reaffirmation of allocation rules. These practices maintain alignment and prevent drift. There is also profound wisdom in defining a long-term family vision for prosperity. What does lasting prosperity truly mean for your household beyond just numbers? Is it early retirement, entrepreneurial ownership, philanthropy, extensive educational opportunities, or a certain quality of life? When vision is shared, discipline gains powerful purpose. Delayed gratification and sacrifice feel meaningful rather than arbitrary. Intergenerational communication strengthens this culture further. Older members can share invaluable lessons from their setbacks and successes. Younger members can bring fresh perspectives, new technological understanding, and innovative ideas. When dialogue flows respectfully, adaptation becomes possible without abandoning core principles. Remember, culture is built through consistent repetition, not single events. One conversation does not create order. One disciplined month does not establish a tradition. But years of consistent practice, shared understanding, and mutual accountability form a deeply embedded family identity. Over time, outsiders may even recognize it. They may describe your family as stable, thoughtful, organized, and quietly prosperous. That reputation reflects an internal alignment, a shared commitment. Building a family culture of financial order requires patience. It requires humility. It requires leadership without arrogance. Yet, the rewards are profound and immeasurable. Wealth becomes less fragile. Decisions become less reactive and more strategic. Generational continuity becomes a realistic, powerful aspiration. The 33% rule thrives within an ordered culture. Living remains controlled, growth remains consistent, and protection remains strong. When these principles are shared and owned by all, rather than isolated one, prosperity stands on multiple pillars. Build order intentionally, reinforce it consistently, teach it patiently. When financial discipline becomes woven into the very fabric of family identity, wealth transforms from temporary success into an enduring, impactful legacy. And that legacy, sustained by shared culture, becomes the true expression of lasting prosperity. Chapter 17. Review, refine, and recommit. Every year, lasting prosperity is not built once and then forgotten. It is maintained, nurtured, and reinforced repeatedly. Systems weaken when they are ignored. Discipline fades when it is merely assumed. The 33% rule is profoundly powerful, but its strength and effectiveness depend on consistent, intentional review. What you do annually, how you assess and adjust your course, determines what you preserve permanently. The cycle of review, refine, and recommit every single year is how your financial structure becomes a source of lifelong stability and enduring wealth. An annual financial review is not merely about crunching numbers. It is primarily about alignment. Sit down once each year, calmly and intentionally, and examine your entire financial structure. Has your income changed significantly? Have your expenses subtly or quietly expanded, perhaps through lifestyle creep? Has your investment allocation drifted from your target percentages due to market performance? Are your reserves still sufficient, given your current responsibilities and economic outlook? These critical questions prevent small deviations from becoming large, debilitating weaknesses. Life evolves, careers shift, families grow, change, and expand. Responsibilities accumulate. Markets move, sometimes unpredictably. The fundamental 33% framework remains constant, a guiding star, but its application must adapt to your evolving reality. Refinement does not mean abandoning discipline. It means strengthening it in response to new circumstances and challenges. Consider income growth. If your earnings increase significantly, the insidious pressure of lifestyle inflation often follows. Without a structured annual review, living expenses may rise disproportionately, consuming all new income. During your annual assessment, confirm that you are still diligently living below your power, that your living portion remains controlled. If expenses have expanded too quickly, adjust deliberately, perhaps by redirecting a larger percentage of new income directly to growth or reserves. Realignment may feel uncomfortable, forcing you to make conscious choices, but ignoring imbalance creates far greater long-term strain and financial fragility. Investment portfolios also require diligent evaluation. Diversification that was appropriate 5 or 10 years ago may need adjustment as your life stage changes, your risk tolerance evolves, or market conditions shift. Rebalancing your portfolio to bring it back to your target allocations, e.g. 33% business investments, maintains stability and ensures that growth remains aligned with your overall protection strategy. Annual review transforms investing from a passive, hopeful drift into active, intentional stewardship of your capital. Reserves, your at-hand money, deserve dedicated attention as well. Economic conditions change. Personal obligations shift. A new child, a career transition, an aging parent, an emergency fund that once felt perfectly adequate may now be insufficient to cover your increased responsibilities. Bolster your strength and protection where necessary, without hesitation. Confidence truly grows when your preparation realistically matches your reality, not an outdated assumption. Recommitment is equally, if not more, important than review and refinement. Even the best designed systems can weaken if enthusiasm fades or discipline becomes rote. Over time, habits risk becoming purely mechanical, losing their underlying purpose. During your annual review, take time to remind yourself how else you adopted this structure. Reflect on the significant progress made. Recognize the profound stability and peace of mind you have gained. Gratitude for your financial resilience reinforces discipline and deepens your conviction in the system. There is also immense value in setting forward-looking intentions for the coming year. What specific goals will define your financial efforts? Will you increase investment contributions, reduce specific liabilities or debt, acquire new ownership stakes, strengthen family education around finance? Clear, measurable goals focus energy and provide direction. Even robust progress can slow or become aimless. Annual review should include reflection on character as well as capital. Have you maintained emotional discipline during periods of market volatility or personal stress? Have you upheld integrity and ethical standards in all your financial decisions and dealings? Have you practiced strategic generosity responsibly within your structured means? Prosperity is not solely numerical. It reflects consistent behavior, unwavering values, and personal growth. Some individuals resist annual review because they fear confronting weaknesses or acknowledging past mistakes. Yet, ignoring weaknesses does not make them disappear. It magnifies them, allowing them to fester. Structured, honest reflection empowers correction, while consequences remain manageable. Early adjustments are far less painful, costly, and disruptive than delayed emergency repairs. Involve appropriate family members in this review process. Transparency, as we discussed, fosters trust and shared purpose. Shared understanding strengthens the family's financial culture. Discuss successes openly. Address challenges constructively, focusing on solutions rather than blame. When review becomes a tradition rather than an emergency response, it reinforces the overall culture of financial order. There is deep wisdom in documenting insights from each annual review, record adjustments made to your allocation, note lessons learned from market events or personal financial experiences. Outline your priorities and specific actions for the next year. Written reflection creates continuity. It prevents repeated mistakes. It transforms raw experience into invaluable, actionable guidance for yourself and for future generations. Recommitment also requires humility. Economic environments shift unpredictably. No strategy guarantees immunity from all volatility or unforeseen events. The purpose of review is not to chase financial perfection or to eliminate all risk. It is to maintain unwavering alignment with core principles. Living remains disciplined, growth remains consistent, and protection remains strong. Think of this annual process as essential maintenance for a complex, valuable structure. Just as buildings require regular inspection and upkeep to remain safe and durable, financial systems require consistent inspection and refinement to remain robust and enduring. Neglect invites deterioration. Attention preserves integrity and ensures longevity. Over decades, this habit compounds in power. Each year of diligent review strengthens the foundation laid in previous years. Each refinement enhances resilience and adaptability. Each recommitment deepens conviction and strengthens discipline. Prosperity becomes less dependent on luck and more dependent on disciplined, intentional repetition. The 33% rule is simple in design, yet profound in impact when practiced consistently. Annual review ensures that simplicity remains effective and dynamic rather than becoming complacent and rigid. It keeps you intentional. It keeps you focused. It keeps you aligned with your long-term vision of lasting prosperity. Review your numbers. Refine your structure. Recommit to your principles. Repeat this process every year, without exception. In doing so, you transform a powerful financial method into a lifelong discipline. And lifelong discipline, applied steadily, humbly, and thoughtfully, is what converts temporary success into truly lasting prosperity. Chapter 18. The Blueprint for Lasting Prosperity. In this final chapter, we bring together all the threads of wisdom woven throughout this audiobook. The true message of the 33% rule, the Jewish wealth secret for lasting prosperity, is that real wealth, enduring wealth, is not merely about accumulating money. It is about building a life of financial security, mental peace, and confident self-reliance. A life where money is a tool for freedom, not a source of constant worry. Many people spend their entire lives chasing financial targets, only to find that even with significant earnings, true satisfaction and security remain elusive. The real purpose of wealth, as this ancient rule teaches us, is not just luxury, but the profound gifts of freedom and peace of mind. Financial freedom, the kind that lasts, does not arrive suddenly or by chance. It is the gradual, deliberate outcome of a series of small, correct habits, unwavering discipline, and consistently wise decisions. This is why, throughout our journey, we have repeatedly emphasized the core principles of saving, investing, long-term thinking, and self-control. Wealth is not built in a single day, a single year, or a single market cycle. It is forged over years and decades of applying these foundational habits. The 33% rule serves as your complete financial blueprint for life. It instructs you that if you consistently divide your income, 1/3 for disciplined living, 1/3 for growth through investment, and 1/3 for protection and strategic reserves, your financial reality will fundamentally transform. This approach may initially feel challenging, especially when starting out. Yet, as we have explored it, it is this very habit, consistently applied, that gradually builds financial security, empowers growth, and safeguards your future. Most people, driven by the immediate gratification culture, prioritize short-term pleasure. They sacrifice future security for today's fleeting desires. But truly successful individuals operate with a long-term vision. They understand that today's small discipline can blossom into tomorrow's grand freedom. This foresight, this ability to delay gratification for a greater future, is what truly sets them apart. As we discussed, wealth is not merely a bank balance or a portfolio statement. True prosperity manifests when you possess abundant time, profound mental peace, a secure family, and the ability to live free from the constant anxiety of financial concerns. If, despite having substantial money, you find yourself living in a state of stress, fear, or constant worry, then that is not true wealth. It is merely a larger cage. For lasting financial success, 3 elements are paramount: the right mindset, the right habits, and unwavering patience. If you integrate these 3 into your life, your financial reality will inevitably shift towards abundance and security. Conversely, if you succumb to the temptation of getting rich quickly, you will often make impulsive, erroneous decisions that undermine your long-term goals. We also touched upon the critical concept of generational wealth. True success, as envisioned by ancient wisdom, extends beyond individual prosperity. It encompasses building a robust foundation for future generations. This involves not just transferring assets, but critically imparting financial education, instilling habits of saving and investing, and passing down strong values that guide responsible stewardship. Successful people are perpetual learners. The world is in constant flux. Opportunities change, financial systems evolve, and new challenges emerge. The individual who stops learning also stops growing. This is why the prosperous continuously educate themselves, adapt their strategies, and always strive for self-improvement. Finally, we emphasize the power of gratitude and balance. While money is an essential tool for freedom and security, life also comprises precious relationships, vibrant health, and deep mental peace. If, in the relentless pursuit of wealth, you lose balance and neglect these other vital aspects of life, you will never experience true, holistic happiness or lasting prosperity. The ultimate message of this book is powerful and deeply encouraging. Every individual possesses the opportunity to build lasting wealth. The fundamental difference lies in how one manages their money, with wisdom and discipline, or with thoughtless consumption. The right financial habits, cultivated over time, have the power to transform lives. This audiobook's final, most potent lesson is that small, consistent, correct habits create monumental success over the long term. If you begin today, right now, to integrate saving, investing, discipline, and long-term thinking into your daily life, you will steadily, inevitably, move towards financial freedom. This is the true secret of the 33% rule. It is not a hidden mystery. It is an open blueprint for anyone willing to embrace its profound, timeless wisdom. Conclusion. Lasting prosperity is never an accident. It is meticulously designed. It is diligently protected. It is faithfully repeated. Throughout this audiobook, you have seen that the 33% rule is not merely a budgeting technique or a clever allocation strategy. It is a profound philosophy of balance, resilience, and purpose. 1/3 to live with discipline, ensuring your present is managed thoughtfully. 1/3 to grow with consistency, building your future through diligent investment. And 1/3 to protect with wisdom and give with intention, safeguarding your progress and enriching your life and community. Simple in structure, powerful in execution. Wealth that endures across decades and generations is rarely dramatic. It does not rely on sudden breakthroughs, lucky timing, or speculative gambles. It relies on order. It relies on unwavering emotional control, especially during turbulent times. It relies on living below your power, even when you can comfortably afford more, thereby creating an invaluable margin of safety. It relies on investing consistently, patiently, and purposefully when others hesitate, retreat, or succumb to fear. It relies on meticulously protecting what you build before expanding further, ensuring your foundation is unshakable. And crucially, it relies on teaching the system, the underlying philosophy, before simply transferring the money, empowering future generations with wisdom, not just capital. These principles, practiced steadily, day in and day out, month after month, year after year, transform mere income into profound independence. The beauty of the 33% rule is its universal applicability. It works at any income level, adapting as you grow. It works during periods of rapid growth and during times of economic difficulty. It works in different economies and different seasons of life. Why? Because at its core, it is not about numbers or market conditions. It is about discipline, consistency, and a profound respect for the future. When discipline becomes habitual, when thoughtful allocation becomes automatic, prosperity becomes not a hopeful dream, but a predictable outcome. You do not need perfection to begin this journey. You need the decision. The very next income you receive can be divided with intention. The next expense can be evaluated with clarity and purpose. The next investment can be made with consistent, unwavering discipline. Small structured actions, repeated over years, create outcomes that may appear extraordinary to others, but will feel entirely natural and deserved to you, the disciplined builder. Remember, prosperity is not only about accumulation, it is about stability. It is about peace of mind, the calm that comes from knowing you are prepared. It is about the ability to face uncertainty without paralyzing fear. It is about providing opportunity for your loved ones without inadvertently creating dependency. It is about building something that profoundly outlives you, a legacy of wisdom and enduring strength. Review your structure annually. Refine it when life inevitably changes. Recommit when motivation wanes or challenges arise. Guard your reputation as fiercely as your assets. Strengthen your relationships, for they are invaluable non-financial wealth. Convert your skills into ownership, leveraging your unique talents. Keep your wealth quiet, allowing it to grow unimpeded by external pressures. And keep your standards high, prioritizing quality and integrity. Teach the system patiently and transparently to your family. Protect what you build diligently, for defense is as critical as offense. Over time, you will notice something truly powerful. Stress decreases significantly. Options multiply exponentially. Confidence grows into an unshakable inner calm. The gap between your income and your lifestyle becomes not a struggle, but your greatest source of financial strength. Investments begin contributing substantially alongside your labor. Reserves provide unwavering calm during uncertainty, and prosperity stops feeling fragile, a precarious balancing act. It stands firm, it carries forward, and when guided by wisdom, balance, and unwavering discipline, it becomes not just wealth, but truly lasting prosperity. The 33% rule is not a secret because it is hidden. It is powerful because it is practiced. Structure, once adopted with conviction, reshapes identity. You are no longer merely reacting to money. You are powerfully directing it. You are no longer hoping for security. You are consciously constructing it. Begin with your next paycheck. Divide it deliberately. Follow the system without internal negotiation. Let discipline replace impulse. Let structure replace drift. Let patience replace pressure. Prosperity built this way does not fade easily. It stands firm. It carries forward. And when guided by wisdom and balance, it becomes not just wealth, but lasting prosperity, a legacy for generations to come. Thank you for listening.